sit back, relax, have a glass of grappa and maybe a peach. We're Nerdazons. All right, so this episode I'm so excited to do. We're doing Call Me By Your Name, the book to the movie.
Yes, that's correct. This was Steph's pick. Do you want to tell everyone why you chose this one this month?
Okay, so I did watch the movie before even knowing it was based on such an amazing book. I brought it on Kindle and I had to get the audio knowing that it was read by Ami. I read the book in a few hours and I had to hold off the last part because I knew what was going to happen. I cried pretty hard. Reading the book is almost like reading poetry. I've read this book countless of times and I know that it won't be the last. I was waiting to watch this movie for a really long time as everybody was talking about it and talking about how much of a beautiful love story it was. I never got around to it much because it didn't really get a theatrical release in Australia.
That's right.
Yeah, so I got my friend's Foxtel account and I saw it was on Foxtel one day. And it came up as a suggestion, and I was like, okay, I'll watch it. By the end, I was bawling my eyes out and absolutely heartbroken, feeling Elio's heartbreak. I watched the movie again and again. I couldn't get this damn movie out of my head. I found myself thinking about it all the time, telling anyone who would listen, even if they didn't want to listen, how great this movie was. I then went online and I found a Call Me By Your Name group. So I found this group online. It's amazing to know that so many people love the book and the movie, and it's actually like brought so many people together, and I have made some genuine friends from this group. Also, I'm going to Crema, where the film was made in June.
Yes, that sounds really cool.
I'm so excited about it. So it's called PeachCon. And I found out that Andre Asselman, the author of the book, might be coming.
That's cool.
We're doing a reenactment of the disco.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Yeah. I can't wait. I was so excited for that. Obviously, fans of the books and movies are called Peaches. All right. So sorry, I'm rambling. So let's get into the book. Call Me By Your Name is a 2007 novel by Andre Asselman that centers on a blossoming romantic relationship between an intellectually precocious and curious 17-year-old American-Italian Jewish boy named Elio Perlman and a visiting 24-year-old American Jewish scholar named Oliver in the 1980s. The novel chronicles the summer romance in the last 20 years that follow. A sequel finally was released last year.
Yeah, you were telling me about the sequel. For a long, long time you have been talking about this film and book, and it's so funny. When I started watching it, I didn't realize that my partner suggested, when it first came out, he said, oh, this is a movie that I really want to watch. And then when I think I was sick one day, and I'm like, oh, I might as well watch the movie now while I've got the place to myself. And he's like, oh, this is one that I wanted to watch. And I'm like, oh,
Did you watch it again?
No.
Would you watch it again?
I think so with him, because he does want to watch it and he did really want to watch it. And I just wasn't as keen to watch it, but I love your excitement about this. And that's why I was really excited to do this, so that way everyone else can maybe catch some of that contagious excitement that you have.
Okay, so I made, like, at work we've got like a little book club where we all just share each other's books and stuff. And I made like everybody at work read this book, and I'm just like, and I've given my mates the DVD, and I'm just like, you need to watch it. Go on, watch it. And they're like, fine. And so I'm making one of them. She just messaged me today and said that she watched it for the first time today.
Wow. Did you tell her we were recording today?
I expect like a 6-page essay.
Oh my God, the notes. So full disclosure here, I am going to be bouncing off Steph because she wrote like 12 pages of notes, and I think it's best to let her talk about this one. Like, she's even in her Timothy Chalamet shirt. So yes, I think it is best that you talk mostly about this.
So what I liked about the book is that it's from Elio's point of view, and you hear every thought, every desire. I just love this book so much. It's really interesting to hear it read by Armie Hammer as he plays Oliver in the movie. What a voice. Smooth like honey, but for your ears.
I do. That's a good point. I do like that it was in Elio's point of view. Like, you really did feel like you were in his mind and you were standing there watching everything that was happening in front of him while you were reading or listening to it. I do want to say one point. I think this is a book you need to read and not listen to like I did. Even though it was great to listen to Armie Hammer's voice, he did read it very well. I just think the writing style is not good for audio. So I would listen in the morning to work and coming home. Like I would listen to it on my commute. And for the short time that you listen it to, the imagination in Elio's mind would ramble for like 5, sometimes 10 minutes, and then it would just stop. And it's like, oh, but that's not going to happen. And I wasn't expecting that. And that was an irritation in the first half of the book because it took me a while to get used to the writing style. And I definitely think if you get the chance, read the book, because I think you can sink into it a little bit more than what you can with audio. And I am a full 1000% supporter of audiobooks, but I actually think you should read this one.
I read it first because my local library had it, and then I was like, oh my goodness, I saw it on special on Kindle, so I was like, of course I'm going to buy it. And then I saw for $2 extra I can have it read, and I was like, oh, okay, if I have to. I just find it such a soothing book. But funny enough that Andre said that in an interview that he actually liked Luca's ending and wish he'd finished the book in a similar way.
Yep.
And I love the description of the places. I could imagine myself being in Italy on a hot summer night. I could relate to Elio in the fact that who didn't have a summertime crush, who wasn't scared to say something? Is it better to speak or to die? I really like the way Asman writes.
He was very deep, Elio. Like, it wasn't just a crush with him. He would go all in or not go in at all. Even with
Marzia?
Yeah, like even with Marzia, the way he would think or smell her hair and just like little things like that, like he would go all in or not at all. And I think that's a really beautiful way to love someone.
Exactly.
Or experience love. And yeah, he is an interesting character, Elio.
Well, he also mentioned in another interview that he only writes from one point of view because he cannot write any other way. I'm currently reading one of Andre's other books, 8 White Nights. It's okay, but it's not Call Me By Your Name. And the fact that the main character has no name. So I've just named him Kevin.
Really?
Yeah.
No name.
No
It could be
name.
No Face from Game of Thrones.
And I have to say that I don't want to poo-poo the sequel. Find me. If the movie ever happens, of course, we're doing an episode on that. It felt to me very rushed, and that most of the book being about Sammy, the dad, and not Elio and Oliver. I felt it was more about my parents, and I feel like Sammy was such a big part of the book. Can I just say that the dad's speech, if you didn't ugly cry over that, do you even have a heart?
Yeah.
The book captures young love exceedingly well. One of my favourite quotes is, I looked at the faces of the other applicants. This wasn't so bad. I began to wonder what my life would have had someone else shown up instead. I wouldn't have gone to Rome, but I might have gone somewhere else. Wouldn't have known the first thing about San Clemente, but I might have discovered something else I'd missed and might never have known about it. I wouldn't have changed. I would never know who I am today. Wouldn't have become somewhere else. I think about this a lot. The people and experiences we have shape the present us. I would like to go back and meet the other me, who I might have been, but I can't. I do like the ending of the movie versus the book, although I do like the last few sentences. They read, just once, turn to me, even in jest or an afterthought, which would have meant everything to me when we were together, and just as you did back then, look me in the face, hold my gaze, and call me by your name. The book definitely hits the theme more than the movie, that by using somebody else's name, that you're forming a closer bond. Elio seems more tormented in the book more than the movie. The characters were very rich, and the story is frustrating on so many levels. Resonated with me so deeply about my own fears about my relationships, whether it be platonic or love. The themes are both emotionally, intellectually stimulating. I was filled with both despair and happiness.
Like, yes, I think you've summed up very well the book. I don't think I could ever even comment on that.
Thanks.
That was done very well.
Thanks. But that's also because my other mate watched the movie for the first time, and that she was like, because she hadn't read the book or anything, and she's like, I don't understand why they're calling each other's names.
They don't really express that very often. It definitely makes more sense in the book if you read or listen to that first. But they don't really go over it in...
Yeah, she's like, is it just like a pet name for each other, or do they do it so that they don't get caught, or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. I think the ending of the movie is much better than the ending of the end. So at first, it took me a while, about half the book, to get into it, because I just couldn't quite get into the...
I was messaging you like every 10 minutes.
And I'm like,
I don't want to
tell you. I didn't even want to tell you my opinion until we started recording, but the writing style was just a bit off for me. It just wasn't my style. It's other people's, but it wasn't mine. Then when I was really getting into the book, my emotions were changing because I'm like, they shouldn't have to hide. What the hell is this? Why are they sneaking around? They shouldn't, it shouldn't happen. So then I was getting very revved up about that. And I'm like, ugh, they really shouldn't.
They just love each other.
I know, they should just be able to have fun themselves. And then again, you're probably going to think I just completely hate the book. I don't. I love the book. And to have it stir up so many emotions in me, obviously it means that I enjoyed it. But I dislike the ending, and I especially don't hate me. I really dislike Oliver at the end because I feel like it's so unfair what his actions, I get it, they had a really beautiful love in summer, but I don't think he realizes that that changed Elio. He just couldn't move on, especially the fact that he went back to see him years down the track. And then again at the end of the book, hopefully everyone's read it or watched it, they go back to the family house, and it's just, he just could never let it go. And it's sad. I think I just felt sadness for Elio because it's not fair that he goes his whole life waiting for this one guy who was quite happy to just go back home and get married and have a family and not even think about him twice.
No, they do think, he does think about him a lot.
It just doesn't come across that to me.
But in the second book, you can tell that they're both thinking about each other all the time. They're constantly thinking about each other. But like Oliver says in the movie when they're talking on the phone, he's like, my parents would have carted me off to army school. My parents would have carted me off. It's not acceptable in my...
Yes, yeah. And I understand at the time it's not an acceptable thing, but it's sad because I think a lot of people can relate that the actions that one person does, and it doesn't even have to be in a relationship, even in a friendship, one action that someone does can affect the other person a lot more severe, or you got to be wary of that with other people. And I just feel like, yeah, that's just my opinion. And I've been in that boat before and I know what it's like, and it's not fair when you can be hung up on someone and the other person just doesn't care and they just go off and do their own thing. And it's horrible because you're the one that still feels like you have to try and revive it. And that obviously is coming from relationship. And it's not fair when you're the one chasing the other person.
No, that's
right.
So
yeah, I got that vibe from the ending of the book, and I just really, really felt for Elio. And it's just no, just let him go and move on. You'll find happiness. You'll find someone else that lets you feel this. But yeah, it was a book that stirred so many emotions, and I really, really felt for the characters.
Yes. Well, we are going to go back and forth from the book to the movie.
Yes, I think we probably will.
But what do you think it got on Goodreads?
What are they ranking out of?
5.
Out of 5. 4.3.
Are you kidding me?
Did I get it right?
You got it right again.
Oh my god! Wait, that was a terrible high five.
Okay, look at my elbow.
Yes! Wow, I feel happy.
Oh my god, that's the second time.
That is. Oh my god, I must be getting good at this.
Did you see my notes?
No, I didn't see your notes. Once I saw that there were 12 pages, I'm not reading any of that.
Okay. Oh my
I
God.
don't read. Obviously, not even your notes.
What do you give it?
So out of 5, I would probably give it a 4 because the story was really good, and it was obviously good that it drew me into the story because I felt for the characters. But just the first part of the audio and the writing style wasn't. It took me a while to click with. So I think if I had have read it, I probably would have given it a bit higher, but. Yeah.
I'm giving it a 4.9.
Obviously you are.
Obviously.
I'm surprised you're not giving it a 5.
No. There are a few things that annoyed me in the book, but we'll get to that. But only 800,000 copies have been sold since its release.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I would have thought there'd be more.
No. Well, there's probably more now.
Yeah, yes.
All right, so we'll move on to the movie. So the movie was released 10 years after the book in 2017. The movie Luca Guadagnino actually got a copy of the book before it had been released, and he's like, I want this to be a movie, but it took such a long time for it to get released. So it's starring Armie Hammer, Timothy Chalamet, Michael Stuhlbarg, Amira Caesar, and Esther Garrel. And the budget for this movie was only $3.5 million. That's why the part in Rome is completely different because of the budget cuts. They didn't really have the budget to do what they did in the
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Because that was the one part that I actually thought was done way better in the book than I thought in the movie. I thought they really, I don't know, in the book, in the night they spent in Rome, it just seemed so. It was a whole other world, and it just that drew me in especially.
And I like the fact that they talked about the author of the book, and that's why Elio gave
And the whole literary party
the
and
book.
and
Yeah.
I really liked that. It's just a different scene, I think, unless you're in those crowds, and you wouldn't experience that. And it would have been nice to see that come across on the big screen, but you didn't really see that. So now we know why.
Well, and it was also filmed on a 32mm Les camera, so that's why it looked
It's a little bit darker.
a little bit darker. Yeah,
It seems a bit grittier, but I feel like I thought it was because the lens might have been a bit better, because like you can really see
And it was only
the
one
water
camera
and
the
the
entire
stuff on
time.
the streets, or through the whole film, or just the Rome scene.
No, the whole thing was filmed on one camera. All right, so in the early 80s in Italy, a romance blossoms between a 17-year-old student and the older man is hired as his father's research assistant. This would have to be one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen.
Yep.
I want to be in Italy on a hot summer night drinking Italian wine, which I will be doing in
Which you will be
June.
doing.
In
I love how excited you get about this.
in adaptations, things need to be changed. What works on written page doesn't always work on film. And because this story is largely based on the memories of Elio, it would be really hard to show this on film. I think Luca has done one, if not the best adaptations of a book. I think it really shows that he's taken the time to study the book and be as loyal as he can.
Yes and no, I'd have to say. Like, beautiful, beautiful movie. It really did. The cinematography made you feel like you were there in Italy, like in this village town, or like it was beautiful, and it was definitely worth it. If they had to skimp out on cameras just to make everyone go there, it worked, because it was really, really beautiful. But I wouldn't say it was one of the best filmed movie adaptations, because there was quite a big difference.
There was, but I mean, like I just said,
And
it's really hard to have something done by one person's point of view.
But I do think also some of the character personalities may not have been as strong in some areas as they are in the book, or vice versa. Sometimes it's too strong in the movie and not as. But I don't know if it's because I haven't watched it as many times as you, or
Yeah.
or read the book as much as you.
I took two of my mates to see it on Valentine's Day.
I know, we all saw your post.
Yeah, and my friend was just giggling the whole time, and just like, I know, when the Peach thing came on, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go now. And then my friend's like, no, what are you going? And I'm like, I don't want to watch this with you guys, Soup Talks. And then I made them watch it, and they're just like, I can never eat Peach again.
See, that it's really interesting that you brought that up, because I actually think the Peach scene brought out, from the book to the movie, it brought out two different personalities in Elio. Like in the movie, well, in the book, it was like he was pushing the limits, and he wanted that to be found, which I think he said at one point. And he was happy when Oliver came in and that. But in the film, it's almost like Oliver breached his personal space too much, and I feel like that's why he broke down. Like, it's like, no, the Peach was my thing. Like, that was my emotions towards both you and Marzia. Like, he shouldn't have intruded on that, and that's what I felt like why he broke down. That's how I interpreted that scene. I mean, I think it's different for everyone, because it's always up to interpretation, but that's just how I saw it. Whereas in the book, it just seemed like Elio was a much stronger personality for that scene. Like, it just was different. Like, I don't know how I can say that. Okay, good. Because I was like, I don't know how else to say this.
No. All right, so I'm going to go back to my notes.
Okay.
So from the very beginning, I heard that beautiful song, Alleluia Junction, and that beautiful statues, and I knew I was going to enjoy this film. Boy, did I. I don't think a movie or even a book has stuck with me for so long after I finished. I literally couldn't get this movie out of my head. I had the soundtrack playing on repeat, although I always did skip Visions of Gideon, because if you can last to that song without crying, you have no heart. That's all I'm saying. So 2 years later, and I still cannot hear that song without getting teary. I like the fact that there was no antagonist, no hate, nothing, just beautiful love story about two people who fell in love. One thing I will say is that I wish that in the movie Vermini, I know that she didn't have a huge role, but just to see the
Yeah.
beautiful relationship between her and Oliver.
Yeah.
One bit that just stuck with me about Vimini is the quote from the book is that she says, "You both left without saying goodbye. You're right, we didn't. We didn't mean anything by it. Oh, with you I don't mind, but him I do very much. Why? Why, Elio? Forgive me for being so, but you've never been really intelligent. It took me a while to see what she headed to with this, but then it hit me. I may never see him again either. I said, no, you might, but I don't know about me. This is where I relate. There are so many people that come into our lives that are so impactful for a summer, for a year, for a moment, and we are not as impactful to them. I really like little touches, and the things felt more erotic than the actual sex scenes. The fact that they panned away from the two men having sex for the first time, we didn't need to see it. I think it would have just made the film feel tacky or even make us feel like we're intruding on them. Even the chemistry between the two leads, they didn't even do a screen test beforehand.
Yeah, you were telling me about
Yeah, so there's an interview on Ellen where they were saying that the two leads, Army and Timothy, met, and Luca's like, all right, let's just let's rehearse, and he's like, shh. All right, flick to page 67, and all it says is Elio and Oliver make out in the grass. So they're like, oh, all right, so they start making out in the grass, and then Army says that they're making out, and then they're making out, and they're making out. Nobody says cut, and Lucas just run away.
Oh my God. But I think that's a great way to do it, because then you can really see if the chemistry is going to come across on screen, you know?
Yeah.
And it definitely did. They did
Yes.
very well.
Exactly. And there is such chemistry between them, and especially with the scenes where there's no dialogue, you can still feel the moment.
Yeah,
Like,
you can feel the like emotion and intensity coming through between them.
even when they're saying like goodbye at the train station where there's no words,
Yeah.
and then like Oliver's pulling back from Elio, and then Elio's like not ready to say goodbye yet.
Yeah, and even when they do one of the I think the first bike ride into the city, and he I think that's when he sees him play poker. Yeah, like even then you can almost feel the awkward, almost like before your first date sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where you don't know, do I get closer? You could feel that, and it was really cute.
Exactly. And if you notice that in the book, he doesn't really describe the characters that much.
Yeah. It's more
Because-
the actions. Like, I
Yes.
feel like the descriptions came out more on the actions of what people were doing in that exact time. And it was very, very in depth. And then it would move on into imagination. And then I would get lost.
Yes. And I love that the fact that the dad's played by the wonderful Michael Stuhlsberg. Again, I'm going back to the speech. This was done so well, I bawled
Yes.
my eyes out. It just hit me in the feels, and the part where Oliver leaves, no words were spoken, and yet you know exactly what he wanted to say to each other. This must have been so hard to say goodbye for the last time.
I think both parents were really good in the movie. Like, you could almost see the odd looks that the mother was giving. You can see she knew her son, and she knew that something was, going on. But it was like she'd have a little smile, like, yeah, I like this. And then obviously the father could catch on a lot as well, and then he had his speech, and it was just nice. Even when you see the scene where he's laying with his parents on the couch, and it was just so beautiful.
Where the mother does his head. That was
and he's like, his legs were on his dad, and I'm like,
that's such a beautiful motherly thing to do, and that wasn't
Yep.
part of the movie.
and I think
That wasn't
for
part of the
both
script.
parents it was nice. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's not just a mum who needs to show affection, and it was really nice to see how loving the two of them were. Like, they really nurtured their son. Like, he obviously is very advanced for his age. He was very learned, and it was just nice to see that they could still show the beautiful relationship that you should have with your parents. Like, he looked obviously very comfortable with them, and that's the type of environment you want to bring your kids up in. So if they ever needed to come to you, they can. Like, you shouldn't keep those walls up. Like, you need to bring them down. It was just really, I think, and they didn't even have to say much, and you could see that came across in the scenes that they acted.
When Oliver's not around and Elio's talking to his mum, and that she's like, "You like him, don't you?" And he's like, "Well, everybody likes him." And she's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, he told me." Like, and that's where actually it's Vimini that says that, not his mum.
Yeah, I think they should have brought her in, because it broke, like you said, it broke a lot of the intense emotion between them up, and then it just also showed you that life is short and you should cherish it, and you didn't really have that in the movie.
Well, one part that I really love is when Elio gets his nosebleed, and then the scene where Oliver's just sits with him, and that's so beautiful.
It is.
Yes.
And you know what? I actually think that was done very well. It wasn't over the top. Like, they didn't go all Hollywood on the nosebleed. It was just nice and subtle. It was subtle that they just sat there with a bit of, I think it was an ice pack. It was just done perfectly.
Yeah, but I couldn't stand that two couple that were just fighting. That like annoyed me so much. The two couple that when he has the nosebleed and he walks and he goes to the kitchen, and then there's those two couples speaking Italian, and I was just like, oh.
Yeah. The language too, I must say, beautiful. Like it sounded like they were in Italy, and he was speaking. Was he?
He's French.
Okay, but he naturally can speak.
He learnt that for the movie, and same as all of the piano and the.
Well, it sounds like he has known it his whole life, and he was just made for the role.
Yeah, but also going back to the nosebleed, I really loved the fact that Mafalda was like, he's like, I'm going out tonight. Where are you going? I can't believe you're going. Like, and then he's like, leave me alone. I'm 17 years old.
Or like in the book when it's like, I'm not eating, and it's like, but you need to eat.
Yeah,
it's just such a
I love the Mafalda character. I think she's just so beautiful. Some of like the really funny bits is when Marzia and Chiara come over, and she says to Army or Oliver.
Oh, they get on the bus?
No, he's like, she's like, stay here, and he's like, okay, and then he waits until she's just out of view, and then he runs away.
I think that sort of relationship between those two characters was done better in the book. In the book, it definitely expressed how Elio wanted to kind of play a little bit with them, and by like saying things to each of the characters. Yes. Oliver caught on very quickly in the movie, and he cut it dead, which he does in the book, but it ruined, like, in the book you really understood, okay, it is a mental thing, like you do want to mentally mess with them, but it didn't come across in the movie because it was one like sentence to him, and he just shot him dead before they went to check out to the beach with the dad. And yeah, I think they could have played that a little bit better. But I just want to say, Marzia is so beautiful. I love her hair. I am so jealous. Like, I wish my curls would sit as beautifully as that. And she's just got beautiful eyes, and I just
oh man, and her body
so stunning.
Is like amazing body as well. I'm just like,
so beautiful.
She's cut.
She is. Yes. She is. Like, the whole time I was watching her, I'm like, oh my god, you're too good for him. You're just gorgeous.
Another really good point that I want to make is the fact that he goes to the bookshop with Oliver first, and then he then goes with Marzia in the afternoon, and I just think that is one thing that I wish was in the movie, was how much books meant to him. Yeah,
and like she even had that conversation of like, you know, why do you always read, or like, why don't you hide it? And you can see, obviously you can see that there was a connection between them two, because they both had a love of books and literature and poetry and things like that, and she just hid it more. And I think that's something that he didn't like about her, was she had to conceal that she liked it. But I think that's why when they got together and he said he had a different connection with her, I think they did have a strong connection, but unfortunately she just had to hide her true self for some reason, I guess, just for popularity or something. But it's just a different culture, and I just think that you shouldn't have to hide if you like reading books.
No, that's absolutely right.
Like, I love books, but I just am not a reader. I wish I was.
Yeah. But you're getting into audio.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Audible, please sponsor me. I love you. And I have listened to so many books this year already.
Yeah.
More than I've ever read in a year when I've tried to read.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
I just thought I'd point out some really funny scenes.
Yes.
So when the two boys are running up the mountain, if you look carefully, Army falls over not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I was talking to my friend saying how I'm going to go to that mountain in June. And she looked at me, she went, if Army can fall over, how are you going to manage? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, you can hear Elio singing Love My Way. He actually just yells out, Love My Way. And that bit wasn't actually cut out when they're running up the mountain.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the song from The Wedding Singer, right?
And it's also in the movie.
Yeah, I love that song.
I love that song as well. I literally have the soundtrack on repeat constantly.
Obviously, we know
Because I have to say that to me, the music in the movie was almost like a character.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
The soundtrack was beautiful.
And Sufjan Stevens actually contributed a total of 3 songs: The Mystery of Love, Visions of Gideon, and the remix of the 2010 song Futile Devices, which originally appeared on his 6th album, The Age of Ad. He actually wrote Mystery of Love for Call Me By Your Name.
Okay.
And he actually played it at the Oscars that year live, but unfortunately he didn't win an Oscar for it, which I'm devastated for.
Yeah.
But even the classical music
Yes.
is just phenomenal.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. Like you didn't even need words and you just had the score playing. You could just see Italy and it was just, it's like you were transported away to a whole different world and it was just beautiful. And
Yes.
it went very well. Like they knew the right times when to play it, the right scores to play. Beautiful.
Yes. All right, so I think I'm actually done.
Oh, you got through all your notes.
I did.
I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and let you talk.
I know. So what do you think it got on Rotten Tomatoes?
87?
You think it only got that low? Rude.
Let me have another guess.
Okay, you get one more guess.
98.
No, it got 95.
I was going to say 92 and I'm like, no, there's only like a 5% difference between my first answer.
So the budget was 3.5 million. Guess
Yeah.
how much it made?
I'm going to guess 42 million.
Oh my gosh, you were so close. 41.9 million.
I was out by like
$100,000.
What? That's insane.
Yep.
Wow, I'm getting good at this.
And it was actually filmed on location in Crema and their surrounding areas.
That's cool. You're going to have such a great time on that trip.
I can't wait. I'm so freaking excited to meet people that, I've been talking to for ages.
Yeah.
And, catch up with other people. Yeah.
And like you can express your excitement and see their excitement.
Everybody's so excited about
Yeah.
it. So I think there's only like 5 or 6 Australians going, and all the rest
How many
are,
how many
I think there's-
spaces?
I think there's like 100.
Oh, that's going to be so good.
And I'm staying at the same hotel that Army Hammer and Timothy
Be
Chalamet
aware,
stayed at.
she's going to go hunting for DNA to put in a jar and keep.
You think I'm joking?
No, I believe this.
No, not that bad.
I 100% believe. Or if you're like one of those lucky people that just find these things, and I reckon you'd just come across it and be like, oh my God, is that his like leftover shoe?
Is that his shoe? Obviously, this movie launched Timothy's career as well.
Yes.
And now he's everywhere.
Yeah, like I can't escape him.
He's doing a play in London, and then Army's got a play coming up in Broadway as well. This will be his second Broadway debut. Yeah.
That's cool that they keep him with theatre. That was one thing Sir Patrick Stewart said to, pardon me for not knowing this off the top of my head, but the little girl in the Logan film, who's now playing in his Dark Materials series. He said to her, one bit of advice he gave her was to never stop theatre, because he said movies, I think the quote goes something like, movies are a great experience, but they end at some point, but theatre will always live on. And he said, yeah, it was just really beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, that was his advice he gave her.
Been in quite a few movies that I didn't realise. He was in Homeland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was in Interstellar.
Really?
He was Matthew McConaughey's son
He had a daughter.
and a son.
Was the son older?
I think so.
I don't remember the son. I think because the movie centers around the daughter.
Yeah.
Because she obviously pioneers the...
Yeah, but Timothy Chalamet's the son.
Oh my God, I feel like I need to go back and rewatch this. I haven't watched it since the cinemas.
No, I've never seen it. Is it good?
It is so good.
I got told it's a bit poo-poo.
No, it's really, really
Okay.
good. It's good in a different sci-fi concept, like space film concept. Like it's just, there's always talks about it in movies and things of dimensions and things, but to actually see them bring it to the film was really done well, and it was quite beautiful. Definitely recommend you.
Everyone's going on about Jodie Foster's Contact, and that apparently that's one of the best sci-fi movies ever.
I think I've seen it. Is that the one where it's like a blue poster with
Yes.
her? Yeah, I've seen the poster. Like, I think I had it on VHS
and
as
it's
a
got
kid.
Matthew McConaughey in it. There you go. All right. Well, yeah, I need to watch that one. And before we move on, have you seen the trailer for The French Dispatch?
Yes. Oh my God. I cannot wait.
I know.
Cannot wait. He definitely belongs in a Wes Anderson film.
Just without Timothy Chalamet being in it, it looks
Looks
amazing.
great. I love all his films.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
But he just fits in his style of film,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It looks really good.
All right, so let's move on to
Nerdazon's Nerdy Notables. Okay, I need to talk now,
Yes,
please.
okay.
Okay, I've been waiting. I recently went to Melbourne to go and see the new Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Oh my God.
Okay, yes.
Wow.
Really?
Okay, so massive Harry Potter fan. You know that.
Yes.
Always have been. Not as...
You're Slytherin, right?
Yes, Team Slytherin.
I think wait, no, not Hufflepuff.
Ravenclaw.
Right, wait, Slytherin's like evil.
They're not evil.
No, but then you've got like Gryffindor, which are like the jocks.
The brave.
Then you've got Hufflepuff, and they're the derpy derps.
Yeah, and then the smart ones are the Ravenclaws.
Yeah, I'm Ravenclaw.
Yeah, like, so in high school, I used to always fake those tests, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a Slytherin because I'm going to be such a badass, like...
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, as I got older and, you know, life has changed, you've experienced things, and I'm like, let's do this honestly, because I'm a honest adult now.
Yeah.
And I still got Slytherin, and I was actually really upset. And I'm like, I don't like this anymore. And then I'm like, it took me a while to kind of accept it. I'm like, okay, yes, I am in Slytherin. But anyway, production, wow, like 15 out of 10. It was amazing to see what they could do on the stage. It just looked like you were watching a Harry Potter film, and the whole time you're watching it, you're just like, oh my God, this is on a stage, and it looks like you're doing actual magic. The story, if you're a Harry Potter fan, I'd probably say the story is 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it wasn't written by J.K. Rowling. It was sent to her, and she worked alongside them with it. She didn't actually create the story. So there were some plot holes in it, so I think that does tarnish the story a little bit. So I'd say that's a 7 out of 10, but the production outweighed that enough to love it.
And you said it's been in for like 5 years, yeah?
I think they refitted the Prince's Theatre in Melbourne to house the play for up to 5 years, I think. So
Okay.
there's
I'll
time
have
to
to
go
go
and
see
see it. They'll release more. You can do it in a day, which is what I did, which was good because if you're only going in for a few days, get that out of the way and you can go and do all your other stuff. Or you can do it in like, you can watch it over consecutive nights. So you can watch the Thursday night part 1 and Friday night part 2. It was amazing. And I think I also posted Instagram about Cause exhibit down at NGV. It was so good. If you get the chance to go down there.
What is that?
So Cause is a designer. How do I explain this? He does a lot of like skulls with the crosses. I think his most memorable one was when he did like some Sesame Street characters, and they'd have like the cross in the eyes.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes,
or
yes.
the Dunlop guy with the skull and the cross.
Mm-hmm.
So it was his exhibit down there. So we went to go and see that. As well. So I recommend, if you've got the chance to go and spend a couple days down there, go and check out the play.
It sucks that it's not coming to Sydney.
No, so it's only in London, Melbourne and New York. They're the only locations in the world that are showing it at the moment. Would have been cool to see it in London, but...
And because of like PeachCon, I have to skip London, which I'm devastated about because it means that I don't get to go see the Doctor Who thing, but I can do that next year.
Yeah, I need to go to the UK and do a Harry Potter and a Doctor Who tour. I just need to go all over and see it all.
Since I've mentioned Doctor Who, can we please talk about how amazing this season is?
Yeah,
I did not think this season was going to go.
I'm up and down with this season. And I think it's just because I'm tired all the time lately. I haven't been in the mood to just put it on. But it's a good series. It picked up after the first two.
The first 2 episodes.
The first one was bad, but when you saw the second half of it, it's like, okay, this isn't bad. And then it picked up. Loved the Mary Shelley episode this week.
Yes.
If anyone hasn't seen it, by the time this airs, you will have seen it. So yes, the Mary Shelley episode was so good. I love the Frankenstein story and I love her book and stuff. So to me, it just fits so well to have like an incomplete Cyberman
Yes.
to inspire her for that. And I'm like, oh my God, it makes so much sense.
Yes, and Barrowman was back, and that was
Yes,
amazing.
but he
I
did
had
say he
spoiled.
wasn't coming back.
He said he was.
No, he said he wasn't coming back again.
He said he was.
But he said he wasn't.
On his Instagram live, he actually said that he was.
Well, I saw a post that said he wasn't.
Oh. Well, one of us is lying.
One, maybe he's saying both things so that way people.
Well, he actually had to hide it.
Yeah, I remember you telling
Yeah.
me how he
Yeah,
hid it.
he
He
hid
had
it.
to do renovations
Yeah.
just to say he was doing renovations.
Yeah, but I mean, I had
commitment.
that spoiled for me because somebody posted on Facebook, oh, I can't believe Barrowman's back, and I just went, oh.
Do you know what? I started the episode and there was another character in it, and I'm like, I just want to see who this person is because they're really, really familiar. I can't remember the character because it just was gone. And I looked at IMDb and I put my phone down and I just turned to my partner with the saddest face. And I'm like, I just got the biggest spoiler because I looked at this episode before I finished it. And then he's like, don't tell me that. And so I had to keep it a secret. It's so annoying.
I know, but that was like, if I didn't know, that would have been amazing.
Yes,
and
I
the fact
agree.
that he was like, Graham, he thought it was Graham.
Yes, he got them all wrong. And yeah.
Yeah.
It would be cool to see, though, him interact with the new Doctor. That would be really interesting.
And do you know who else I'd love to him interact with? River.
Nah.
I would love for him to
I got
meet
really
River.
annoyed with her towards the end. It's like, all right, just go away now.
That's how I feel about
Clara.
no,
That's how.
Yaz. I think I'm done with these three. Like, I don't know. I love the way that it's going. I like the writing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but
I think what's making the interaction a bit stale is she is keeping so much from them. Like usually the other doctors have been a little bit more open by
Yeah.
this point, but she's just so blunt to shut them out. Or like if you look at Capaldi, if they got too prying, he would always find a way to turn it around.
don't be lasagna.
Yeah, or like he'd be able to make light of a situation, but she's just cold straight away.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an Eccleston vibe.
Yeah.
Because when he got dark, he was like lost in his eyes dark. And then he'd just smile and move on. And I think she's channeling that. And I think that's what's ruining the relationship with the companions. Like they want to be there to help, and you can see how much they want to help her,
Yes.
but she's just walking away, and you're losing the interaction with the Doctor and the companions because she's walking away from them. So
Yeah.
you're not really enjoying the vibe as much.
No, I know. And I really like this episode because one of I can't remember his name, but he's Victor from Years and Years. And you need to watch Years and Years. Oh my goodness, it is so good.
Was he the one that was hitting on her?
No, the other guy.
Right. The one that was sleeping?
I think so. Anyway, so Years and Years, it's on SBS, and it's got Russell Tovey in it. Oh my God, I love Russell Tovey so much. Do you know who that is?
The name sounds familiar.
He was in Doctor Who. He was Alonso.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And he was in, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it, The Job Lot. On Stan, but this show has got Emma Thompson. I always get Emma Thompson and Emma Watson confused. Emma
Thompson's the better one.
Yes. Yes. And it's about how the world is going to change in the future.
Right.
Like it circles around this one family. So it goes like 10 years in the future, 20 years in the future, 30 years in the future. And some of the stuff is so scary. Like Putin is like president for life. And that like Trump is president for life.
Oh, God.
And like
This is hell.
it's not a spoiler, but there's an episode where the banks close down. And like this guy sells his house, and the next day, no money at all. And you just see them going to the banks trying to be like, line up. And then there's a massive lineup around the corner. And they're just like, we need to go in. And then a riot starts, and you just see the copper realize what's happening, that there is no more money in the banks.
Yeah, that would bring on anarchy. It honestly would. I think if there was one thing that would cause Armageddon and destruction in your economy, that's it.
And then there's this girl that the parents go and see what the daughter's been looking at, and they just see all this trans stuff, and they're like, oh, we didn't lose a daughter, we're gaining a son, blah blah. And she's like, no, I don't want to be trans, I want to be transhuman. I want to be, put my consciousness into the cloud. I don't want to be human. I don't like being human. I want to be transhuman.
Oh, that's
And
freaky.
yeah, and I think
And you know my like thoughts on robots.
yeah, I know, but I just think you would actually really like this.
Oh,
Like yeah, and the grandmother's hilarious.
wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of a scary concept.
Yes, yes.
But you know what? You put the idea out there, someone's going to feel that way.
Well, apparently transhuman is actually a thing.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. I just got goosebumps.
I know, but yeah, you need to watch it. It is brilliant.
Technology is awesome, but it's scary all at once.
Do you want to hear a super sad fact?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think.
50% of the world has never made a phone call.
Oh, wow. I think it's almost like, are they the lucky ones that were introduced to technology? Their identity's not going to get stolen.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's change the topic because I really want to talk about Picard.
Okay, yes.
So I know you haven't watched it yet. Oh my gosh, guys, you need to watch this new series.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. It's kind of like Discovery. It's a little bit darker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't say any more without spoiling it, but it's a good story so far. I'm like captivated. We watch it every week when it comes out. Please it's on Amazon Prime Video, so you can watch it there. If you can also find it on some dodgy streaming sites, I'm sure. But it is so good. Watch it if you get the chance.
Do you know what? I love Studio Ghibli films.
Yay, finally.
I went to the movies and I saw Kiki's Delivery Service, and one of my mates was like, "Oh, that's an all right one. That's not the
Yeah,
best."
it's not the best.
No, I liked it way better than My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah, that one, I feel like that film is a little bit overrated.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my favorite one, but there are so many for you to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So and a lot of the ones that I like, people don't like. So I think that's a good thing about Ghibli is every person connects to a film in their own way.
Yes, and I did the mistake of watching Grave of the Fireflies.
Well, I refuse to watch that. My brother told me the whole story, so I know exactly what happens. And he's like, I don't cry in films often, but this one made me tear up. I'm like, I'm not watching that one.
That one broke me.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It's
like
beautiful.
The soundtrack is gorgeous.
Yes.
The animation is gorgeous. It's
Yes.
unique in its own way. It's always got strong female characters in most of the films, and it's so good, and you need to watch it all. One day I aim to buy the entire collection,
Well,
but
they're
it's
all
very
coming out on
expensive.
Netflix.
I know they're all they're on now. Most of them are on now.
No, not. It's only got like My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service,
Porco Rosso's on there.
The Castle.
Oh, that's my favorite one. Black Pizza.
But next month, then we're getting Spirited Away
Okay.
and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
And then the
Yep.
month after, we're
Okay.
getting the rest. So
I thought
all
they
21
uploaded
films.
all at once.
No, 21 films.
I
are
do want
coming
to buy
out
the
next month.
collection though, the box set. I think you can get this really beautiful white box set from JB Hi-Fi, but the last time I checked it was like $300 and I'm like, no.
Oh.
I can use that for other things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're the things that I've been watching lately.
What have I been watching? Oh, the new season of Sinners come out.
Right.
Episode weekly.
Right. Okay.
Oh my god, it's 2 episodes in, and wow. The new season has Bill Pullman, obviously, and it's also got Chris Messina and Matt Boomer.
Is Sinner the one that had Jessica Alba in the first? Not Jessica Alba. Jessica Biel in the first
Yes.
series. Yeah. I watched.
Did you watch that whole season?
No, I actually started with season 2, and then I watched bits and pieces of season 1.
You need to finish season 1. It is so good.
Oh no, I was already told how that one ended.
Oh, season 2? Season 1? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this one is, yeah.
We just downloaded it when we travelled, and my partner went ahead and watched it. And
Kiss,
then
kiss,
I
kiss.
just watched bits and pieces, and then he told me how it ended anyway. So,
Oh,
but they're really I really enjoyed the second series,
yeah.
but I started with that one.
Yeah. Well, the season 3 is so good. All right. Next month, we're doing finally Angie's Choice.
Yay! I get a choice.
We're doing Blade Runner.
We are doing the original Blade Runner film, and I know it's not a comparison or of a remake, but it is a delayed sequel. So we're comparing how the original one came out and obviously the time it took for the second one to come out.
And if you've read the book,
If you've read the book, bonus, but it is predominantly the 2 movies, and we will have a special guest.
we're going to have Luke and Hannah from the podcast Save File.
Yes, so we're very excited to have them on there. Yeah, so next March, make sure you start watching.
Yes, and I read the book. I read the Blade Runner book many moons ago, but I'm starting to read it again.
I might listen to it before as well.
But yes, so if you like us, please like us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and follow us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And you can always email us at nerdazons@outlook.com.
Yeah, until then, bye.
Bye.